ESPN, and Scotty McKay. I hope the NHL and NBA get back, but if not, we're getting to see people are starting to do stuff. You're starting to see videos of the Flyers alumni did something the other day. That's pretty interesting. And our next guest, our first guest, I should say, Justin Mirigliani, he has put together he's trying to do a documentary. The Keenan's Kids with Scooter was unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted more. I was like watching it, I called you, I said, Scooter, what is this?
And that's why I said it'd be good to have Justin on. I mean, that was in my and your heyday of hanging with the Flyers back then. And so it's like, this is like flashbacks for me, you know, it's like some of the great times and nights we had and games we were at and stuff we did. So I think if he can get this done, and he's going to, you know, when we talk to Justin, we're going to reach out and try to get some sponsors to help him finish this. So
all right, let's go to the sports hotline and welcome in Justin Mirigliani. How you doing, Justin?
Hey, Billy, how are you?
All right, man. So the other day, you know, we're all in quarantine. Everybody's locked in. What's that?
He just said, hey.
We're all locked in quarantine, and so I'm, you know, you're on Facebook a little bit more, and I saw the Keenan's Kids, and I was hooked. I was like dying for more. So I called Scooter, and Scooter said he knows you.
Yeah, we've known each other for a few years now. He's a good friend.
Well, tell us a little bit about the impetus behind this Keenan's Kids.
Yeah, you know, growing up, I was absolutely locked into the Flyers. I would eat, sleep, and drink Flyers hockey. And I remember my parents saying, you got to have other interests. And I didn't. I mean, that was it. That was it for me. So, from birth. And, you know, people talk about Christmas morning, how exciting Christmas morning is. And I remember in 85 and 87, my street in South Philly was completely decorated with Flyers jerseys in the windows and pennants, and it was just an amazing atmosphere. It's so different than it is today. There was such a camaraderie with that team and the fans.
And that's what everybody, I think, felt like. You know, I'm sure South Philly was like that, like you said. But you know, Justin, it's like I said. When I met you, you know, and you played in some of Brian Prop's charity hockey games.
Yeah.
You know, you can see the passion. You can see the guys that still want to play. The guys are still together. You know, they talk a lot still. I mean, those years were really different than any other years that I really remember. Even, well, you know, the 74, 75 teams, obviously, they still hang together and do stuff together. But the alumni has put together a great thing. And this is going to be great when you get this finished, because I think everybody in our era can relate to those years in the mid-'80s when the Flyers were at the top of their game.
Yeah. And Scott, I was telling you before, what's not in the trailer is I had Brian Propp, I had Mark Howe, Doug Crossman, and Turk Evers come over to the house, and we shot a scene of having dinner with them. I had a few of my friends who we grew up, you know, idolizing these guys. And I was pinching myself, saying, I can't believe I have these legends in my house right now shooting this. And I told them during the dinner, I said, I can't see this happening 30 years from now with current players. I just don't see that kind of connection. And I think we all agreed on that, including, you know, the Flyers.
Now, Justin, let me ask you a question. The video is done professionally. It looks good, but like it was just a trailer. So you're trying to tell us where you are right now. You're trying to procure more money so that you can finish this complete the documentary.
Yeah, Billy, we are. And one of the things, though, I wanted to be really careful with being sensitive to the fact that people are really struggling right now. So we didn't start any kind of funding campaign at this time. I just wanted to put it out there so people could see it and enjoy it right now with, you know, we're all missing hockey. But, yes, eventually we're going to have a funding campaign. It's just, it's obviously very expensive to shoot something like this.
Now, do you have a director and a producer and everything, or are you doing it?
Well, I'm producing it, but I got a co-director and producer. His name's John Paxton, and he's done some documentaries before. And I'll tell you, I align myself with a really great person, so I'm really excited about that.
Now, did you have to get permission from the Philadelphia Flyers, and did you have to get, like, some of the rights to be able to film a lot of that stuff?
Well, right now that's probably falls under fair use because it's just a trailer. There's no money being made on it at the time.
Okay.
But down the pike, that's going to be the most expensive part. Is going to be trying to get some of the footage that we can use.
We're talking with Justin Mirigliani. And Justin, what is so if you want to go on YouTube, where do we find it?
Well, I have a Facebook page. It's called Keenan's Kids Documentary. We also have a Twitter page, and we're working on getting a website up as well to get that going.
So, Justin, let me ask you, what do you hope to get out of this? What do you hope that this portrayal of Mike Keenan and the players, one of the youngest teams in the whole NHL at that time, what do you hope the message you're trying to portray here?
Well, I want to show what it was like where the kids of that era, I was 10 years old when Mike Keenan became, actually not even 10 yet, when Mike Keenan became coach. And what I want the documentary to be is the symbiotic growth between the players on the ice. They were young kids, 19, 20, and us in the streets growing up and bonding with our fathers over this team. A bunch of foreign kids, right? They're all from Canada mostly, or Sweden in Pelle Lindbergh's case. And that's what I want to capture is the relationships that were made in this little tiny area of South Philly over this amazing team.
And what I like about it, Scooter, what caught my attention, it was from the very beginning of this trailer, I think it was done so well. You show the kids, the young kids playing street hockey in the street with the old nets and the old gloves, and the kid walking up to the Spectrum, in anticipation of walking in, and of course, then you hear Gene Hart's voice, you see Mike Keenan's face, and then you see some highlights. And Scooter, I don't know about you, but when you see Dale Hunter, Zezel drill Dale Hunter behind the net, and his skate hits the glass and it shatters. I'll tell you what, man, that just brought some great memories back to me, man.
Well, yeah, and Dale Hunter was trying to run Zezel behind the net, and Zezel was as thick as like a tree, like a redwood. He was not this lean, young, 21-year-old kid. He was a soccer player, big legs, big, some of the biggest calves. He and Greg Luzinski had the biggest calves I've ever seen, and he hit Hunter and just knocked him flat, and broke the glass. Obviously, it's a great scene. And you're right, Billy. What Justin did with showing the young kids, playing street hockey in the streets of Philly, and I remember playing street hockey as a kid, and I had like 2 foam pads that I put a towel around, and I taped it around them, and then put them on my knees to play goal. It's like we didn't have like this plethora of Milek equipment to go out there and play the game with. We had to make our own equipment to play, which was pretty funny.
Now, Justin, you talked about your bond with the neighbors in South Philly. Everybody had, and it's with every sport too. I mean, things in the windows, people's front steps decorated. It really brings the community close together when our sports teams play well and have a bond. It's something you can't explain.
Yeah, Billy, the thing was, too, back then, not most of us down in South Philly, we didn't have a whole lot of money. So there were a lot of people who didn't even have Prism. And I was one of them. My family, we didn't have Prism until much later.
Prism?
And wow. Yeah, Prism.
That was right at the rabbit ears, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Remember, it had the cord coming out of the box, out of your TV, and then hooked onto a box again with three rows of buttons.
Right.
Yeah, the kids buttons.
Right. The kids today wouldn't understand. What do you mean you had to get up and turn the channel, or you had to use a cord to tie into your remote? So it's great.
I remember, especially '85, when they played Quebec in Game 6 to clinch the Wales Conference Finals. There was a family who had Prism, and I swear there must have been about 30 or 40 kids in that house that we were just. It was great.
Well, in the very beginning, you had to go. The only place you could see, you're right, Justin. Not everybody had Prism. You had to go to a bar or a restaurant, to watch the games.
Yeah.
And I was 10, so bars were out for me at that time.
All right, so I know you haven't started your campaign, but give people some information if they want to look further into this, because the trailer in and of itself, like I said, when I saw it, I called Scooter. I said, dude, this is unbelievable. You're tapping into something. I think you got something there, Justin.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're hopeful that maybe ESPN will pick it up as a 30 for 30. It's not a hockey story. It's a story about the bonding through sports. Hockey's the vehicle. And it was just an amazing story. And if you think about it, the intrigue with the Pelle Lindbergh incident's another part of it, right? I mean, that team had to go through such hell and come back and almost win the Stanley Cup, come one period away.
Right.
Yeah. And we just, Justin, I think I told you, we just had Darren Jensen on, who replaced Pelle after he passed away. So he was involved in this whole thing. So, but yeah, like Billy said, tell us where, when you find, and I think you're looking for corporate sponsors. This is not a $10 adventure that you get into. Yeah. This is something that, this is an expensive thing to get this done, but where can people eventually reach out? I'm sure you'll put it out there. Where can they reach out to help get this thing funded?
Well, I do own the rights to the URL, Keenan'sKids.com, so I'm going to use that. I'm also going to use the Facebook page to set up some sort of crowdfunding to get that done, and also our Twitter page. We also have a YouTube channel, so I have a lot of videos up there, and I'm going to create a video for, like you said, corporate sponsors. It's going to be very difficult to get this done just with donations from individual people. We're really going to need corporations behind us. Yeah.
Right.
Now, Justin, what's the YouTube?
All the social media.
Keenan's Kids is the YouTube channel?
Yes. If you put in Keenan's Kids documentary, actually.
Okay, Keenan's Kids documentary at YouTube. And before we let you go, Justin, give us what team from that era is your favorite team? Name some of your favorite players and what you remember about them.
Yeah, that whole era from really 84 to 88 was my favorite team, but I guess my favorite was the 84-85 team. That came out of nowhere. I mean, that team was supposed to battle for a playoff spot, and they wound up not only winning the division, but they were the league champions, 113 points. They went to the finals. They got Game 5 against Edmonton. But my favorite players, Pelle Lindbergh was one of my favorites. Devastating to lose him that next year, but I remember him being so great, especially in the Quebec series. Love Rick Tocchet, fighter. Brian Propp, probably the most exciting scorer on the team as far as points go. And then, Timmy Kerr. I've never seen hands like that guy. I've never seen hands like that guy up to this day.
All right, well, Justin, I want to thank you so much for taking time today, and I really enjoyed the trailer, and we look forward to the finished product.
Hey, guys, I really appreciate you letting me on. And
we'd like to send our condolences out to you. You lost your cousin, Freddie Salvatore, to the coronavirus recently. Freddie was, had a wife and 2 daughters, so he's 47 years old, too, a young guy still. So our condolences go out to you and your family.
Yes.
Really appreciate that, guys. Thank you. And it's happy birthday.
We really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
Take care, man.
All right, Scooter, that's Justin Mirigliani, great guy, and I'm really looking forward to the finished product because it really got my emotions going and got my blood pumping, man.
Yeah, and I didn't really know what his thoughts were about doing this, but the whole story about growing up and playing is a great story, really.